going to do it. So maybe you can focus your eyes on something, especially if you're driving. Maybe you can lower your eyes or close your eyes and take a moment to feel whatever's connecting a surface, a feet, the ground. Feel some length for the spine. And then feel some flow with the breath. Nothing you need to change, but if it's available to you, slow the inhale and slow the exhale. Imagine you can release some tension from the shoulders. And relax around the mouth, the jaw, the neck. And welcome yourself right in this moment, right in this present time. Acknowledge all the things are going on around you. There's things going on outside this space you're in. There's things going on outside the city you're in, outside the country we live in, even things going on beyond this planet Earth. All kinds of movement in the cosmos, all kinds of movement at the center of the Earth, and everywhere in between. Give yourself a moment to be grateful that you have time to pause, to be a part of this in any way that you can. To let the inspiration of whatever we talk about be something that can be meaningful for you. Maybe you feel called to contribute today, and that's a way of also helping create a ripple of change. Maybe simply listening, being with us, sending out your heart energy is also a powerful way to feel involved, engaged. Take another breath. If your eyes have been closed, gently start to lift them open and seeing around your space. All right, and here we are. So thanks folks for joining on Instagram Live, and we have here with us Tasha and Anjali, so welcome here. As you all have heard, for some of you that might just be joining us, it's a little different than our usual format, and now we're actually in a cafe that's just a block away. We have an event happening in Mukunda Studio, so they felt like this was going to be a different way to kind of get our word out in the world and be here at this cafe. And it's really a cool space called Dento, D-E-N-P-O. They do it's a cafe, but it's also a wine bar, and I think they do sake and other kinds of disrupting libations. And here we are. The topic is, what is the joint synergy around National Self-Care Awareness Month, National Self-Improvement Month, and National Cleanup Month? And one of the things that I wanted to just put out there, as I usually do to start our conversation, is to think about what are some of your tools for self-care? What are your go-tos? When you think about self-care, do you also think about others? Or do you think about really honoring how to not think about others? And maybe sometimes that's the way to do it. Do you see the journey as developmental? What you did 5 years ago for self-care, what you're doing now, and what you might do in 5 years could be very different things. When we talk about self-improvement month, improvement, is that something that you see in a way of, I would just say in our colonial mindset, that it's like bigger, better, best is the way to go. And I have to, get more, I have to take over more, I have to grab more? Or is self-improvement more of an internal, improving something in the energy system that helps you relate to your environment more as a collaborator? When we think of National Cleanup Month, I'll just say, the focus of that really is on streets, parks, beaches, as a National Cleanup Day. Completely vital and important activities. If anyone's ever volunteered and done that, you recognize the impact that not only does it make on the outside world, but what it does for you, right, inside. Do we think of it as, we're clearing trash, we're clearing things that don't belong, we're taking things away from the area's natural environment that was getting cluttered with things that were put there unintentionally or intentionally. And when I talk about that, can you even imagine that being exactly a parallel to what we do in our own life with our minds, our life, our homes, our families? Like, what clutter falls in that just blows in because of the wind, or we drop and don't clean up, or someone else drops, litters in our space. And so I felt like that was an interesting thing to propose, is when we think about self-care, when we think about self-improvement, can we also think of it as a cleaning up of our energy system so that it's all in harmony? It's like this collaboration, the full connection of our relationship to the environment. All right, so that's my starting point. And again, I have Lars next to me, who's been in many of our Empower Hours, a lot more recently, been really good. We have Anjali and Natasha, who have been involved in these since the beginning. So I'll give a moment to everybody to say hello. And we have Mercy, who has been trying to hunt me down. And I'm so sorry, Mercy, you haven't heard back from me. It's just been one thing after the other, but I'm so glad you're here and we'll get to connect. So anybody have any thoughts to start off with from that sort of offering of concepts? And I know Tasha and Anjali have already been chatting. So any one of you have a thought? Here's my iced matcha latte. Cheers, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you all on Instagram Live for being here. Even just you showing up, like, that's a big deal. And I really appreciate that. And know that this is a big part of what Mukunda Studio has to offer, is time to get in conversation about some what I think are really important topics for us to reflect on. Today's a little bit awkward because we're having some technical problems, but the talks themselves are golden. So we don't want to miss out on that. Tasha, Anjali, I'm going to lean into either one of you because we were already talking about this. So I'm not sure if you want to join the conversation. If not, Lars will jump in.
Okay, I guess I'll start. So, I think in terms of self-care, my beginning roots were very superficial. I would have a self-care day. I would take myself out for a coffee, a donut, go go shopping, buy some new clothes, maybe go out that night, have a drink at a bar, and then that was the day that I took for myself. And then it kind of transcended into more naturistic, I guess, natural, where I would go for walks in the forest. I'd have a long bath. I'd light some candles and put on some music or watch a movie. I'd have that alone time just for myself. That was another way that I pulled into me. And now that I've grown a lot more in myself, I consider all of those things to be a sort of self-care. It's taking care of the internal me. I do meditations, I do yoga, the same as Anjali. Um, I take more internal looks with myself. I have talks with close family and friends, and then I go more in depth into me. And then I also still try to do those things that make me feel better on the outside, the things to take care of myself. It doesn't just extend to just one aspect of me. I understand that it's a full, like, 360 view of me that I have to care for to make sure that I am capable of caring for others.
Okay, so Anjali basically says the same things here. My self-care is nature, baths, meditation, yoga, dance party with my kids, and music. I want to also say Anjali wrote similar. Self-care is more of an internal thing. So we're looking at sort of that shift of how it used to be something on the outside we took in, and now we're listening to being motivated by the inside, but still enjoying the outside like nature. And if anybody on Instagram Live, you want to jump in with, some of your journey around self-care awareness, where did it start similarly to Tasha's, that it was felt more almost like self-indulging was the way of self-care, or is there something that feels different about the way you think of your self-care today? And I'll keep an eye on Instagram Live.
I think you guys can hear me now. Yes, to everything that you're sharing about nature and the I think that what I'm experiencing as I'm coming back into balance and groundedness from a long period of kind of a dark night of the soul, and I always want to credit Linda and Mark for showing up while I've been in this phase of my recovery. What I mentioned before that came right up was Ken Wilber, who's a philosopher who creates this school of thought called integral theory, which seeks to integrate many schools of thought. He talks about stages in human development as waking up, growing up, showing up, and cleaning up. And I think that this is such a beautiful kind of metaphor for our stage as humans in development, with all the garbage in the sea and all the litter and needles on the streets. Like Mark's been going out every weekend and cleaning up trash, and then the next day there's just more trash. There's a symbology to our inner world where I think so many of us are muddling through what another teacher, R.J. Spina, describes as ego misidentification, ego mind misidentification, where we identify with different parts of us that might feel victimized or lacking or needing. And when we become merged or fused with these younger parts, we're no longer in the here and now, we're still reenacting old traumas. And I think a lot of us have, I know that it was my experience in my dark night of the soul to have a very cluttered mind and a very cluttered experience of thoughts and feelings which are persistent and demanding, and to return to ground, to return to presence involves a greater capacity to connect with embodiment, connect with nature, connect with movement, connect with gratitude practice. And so these days, rather than first thing gravitating toward my social media feed or the media, I do my best to do a gratitude practice, which I text around to friends. And it's just the first things that pop up. And this is really helping to tidy the chaos of my thoughts and feelings. Yeah, and this is a great way to demonstrate chaos navigation. I think in this chaotic situation we're navigating tech right now. I see the parallels. I don't know if you do, with just navigating and finding our way back to center, back to the courageous, compassionate, clear, conscious, connected, other C words of the inner self, which is where I think so many of us wish to lead from, rather than these ego misidentified parts and feelings we so easily merge with. Examples from as we learn how to do that from media and such.
Right, thank you, Lars. Whoops. Transitioning.
Well, I think that's something we can all relate to in different ways, like that idea of transformation, that idea of shifts and changes that happen, the idea of recognizing at one point one thing was working, and that at another moment that it was actually hurting us, or it was not sustainable because it was a short-term fix to a deep wound or issue. And so I think maybe it's, you know, I like this term dark night of the soul. And it's sometimes, it doesn't have to mean like it's the most, you know, we're on the edge of the earth about to jump off, but it's, we all can go through these moments where we feel disconnected, deeply disconnected. And then what can we do that reconnects us, that reminds us of our relationship to our, you know, natural thing? I see Anjali said, thank you for sharing that, Lars. And then she said, it emphasizes that self-care is towards the individual level. I want to hear more about that. Oh, that's Tasha. Sorry. Tasha said that. It emphasizes that self-care is towards the individual level. Yeah, I want to hear more about that if you feel like you can write or talk about that.
Well, I think that all of our journeys are different. And so what you need to, I guess, bring off from that understanding that you are a part of this world, and if you seek to change the world and make it a better place, everything starts with you. So when you have that understanding,
pause you, because this is so good. Basically, Tasha's just saying that we have to recognize ourselves as a starting point. Is that what you were saying, Tasha? And that if you want to see change, it's got to start with you. And it's sort of our, you know, be the change concept. Go on, Tasha. And for Instagram Live folks, because you can't hear our Zoom folks, we wait and I hear talking and then I'll relay it. Okay, go ahead, Tasha.
so in becoming the thing that you want to see, sometimes we have to make sure that we are caring for ourselves. So for some people, their first thing and their starting point is going to therapy, and then that's the way that they can go through themselves to get to that point where they can show themselves their own love. It's different for everyone, and I love that the way that Lars shared. It's just it's a different perspective, but it's all the same wheelhouse of what is it that you need, and that's the part that we start, and then we grow from that initial need and just keep going forward until we're the fully realized versions of ourselves in that moment.
Okay, beautiful. So Tasha was saying that she really appreciated what Lars was sharing, and that recognizing that it's, you know, sometimes in order for us to make those shifts and changes, we need support. And maybe it is, you know, we need guidance, we need therapy, we need tools. And then we can be able to share that part of ourselves. We can let that self evolve to become the self that we, you know, truly want to be. And we can be that change we want to see. Again, I'm paraphrasing you terribly, so Tasha, if I missed any highlights in there, please, please come back to me. While you're thinking, we're doing okay. Anjali here said, Lars, I appreciate the share. I couldn't catch all of it, and I'll leave a footnote because of our technical problems. Sorry, Anjali. But she said, yes, agreed. Self-care is very subjective, and we should try to redirect it from consumerism or materialism. And I want to finish with your sentence there, Anjali, redirect it from consumerism or materialism to that individual self needs. So I think I like what's happening here. What you're talking about, rather than there's like a one size fits all to well-being, rather than there's a one size fits all to like, you need to buy this and you'll be fit. It's looking at really what's our unique path. And that's not promoted in our culture. It's almost like what's promoted is you need to turn into this one person that's idealized and unreachable instead of really flourishing as the individual that we are with the journey that we're on. We have our own healing. We have our own unwinding. And I think it's beautiful when we can feel that. You want to share any after, or Tasha, did you want to share? Or Mercy, I see you unmuting. Hi, Mercy.
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
Good. Sorry you've been having technical problems with us. We've been having them too. did you want to share any bit? And then I have to pause you to relay to everybody what's happening. So did you want to share?
Yeah, I think self-care is good. It promotes personal growth because when you care for yourself and you feel good, you can have more to offer to others.
Love that. Did you have more on that, Mercy?
Not really.
Well, what happens when you don't feel good? What do you do if you're, so we know how sometimes what we do is when we don't feel good, we end up giving that to other people. And so to
Yeah,
try to
when
make
you don't,
ourselves feel better, you know, we're like, I'm so mad, I'm going to take it out on this person. And now, oh, now I feel better because I yelled at them.
yeah, but usually you don't give what you don't have.
Mercy just said, but usually you don't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
And you end up giving what you do have, sort of the other side of that. So if you give, if you're angry, you're going to give anger. If you're feeling
Yeah.
like you've taken care of yourself, you're going to give out that kind of, well, you know, a wellness offering because your well-being is feeling good. I love it. All right, I'm going to give Lars an opportunity from stuff he's just shared, but if you have any thoughts, or if you have any thoughts.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so we got to take a second.
Love what you guys are sharing. Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah.
It's been for about 8 years. I took part in permaculture training and then permaculture teacher training. And this teacher, Prathan Heckman, had a nice way of kind of merging Zen with permaculture. And his main message is everything we do has ripples. So if we are, there's somebody yelling in the street. if I'm in a lower frequency, a lower vibe, and angry or afraid, and I'm not self-aware, I can ripple that. If I'm feeling gratitude and openness and connectedness and generosity, that ripples and that spreads. And I think that this is the kind of the medicine that so many of us need after becoming really polarized during the years of the 45th president, especially. I mean, we were polarized before, but then we got really polarized because the algorithms reflected back our division more than our unity. I mean, we unified, but we siloed. So I think the medicine that's needed is to ripple out more kindness, more connection, more self-love and self-compassion, and then that begins to catch on. And the big technological revolution might not be the artificial simulated intelligence that's coming around the corner. It might be these practices we've always known, these ancient practices of going in and grounding and centering and taking deep breaths and noticing what's present and what's older news that we could just allow to kind of pass like clouds instead of catch. Yep.
Switch our super advanced sources over here. I don't want to move on into AI. All right.
Yeah, it seems like the more we advance, the more we realize that advancements aren't necessary for our well-being.
Yes.
Well, we kind of go back to the old ways to guide us to who we really are. We don't really invent something new. Like, well, I'm just saying that someone's already figured it out. You know, like why are we trying to reinvent something that already exists? Like how we take care of ourselves has already been something that was recorded. We've just kind of gotten away from it. So I think the thing is that we kind of have to bring our what self back to ourselves.
And I think it's a great question. I think a lot of things in technology are trying to mimic some of these tools, even AI, which is trying to mimic our intelligence, but I think as we know, AI is a mirror of who we are. It's not beyond who we are. It's not a superpower that's beyond us. So it's interesting. I think some things are trying to, imitate our existing ancestral knowledge, but why is it that it's getting so messed up?
Well, I think it's easier than that. Like, eat a vegetable, eat a fruit, you feel better. That's not hard. Go outside, go look at the sun, go smell a tree. These things are made for us.
Tasha just said it's really actually pretty simple. Like, eat a vegetable, eat a fruit, go out in nature, experience being, feel the sun, feel the beauty of the trees. It's like, it's already there. But that's so true. This is a great metaphor. Instead, what do? We eat a piece of candy that tastes like a banana, or we turn on a UV light to try to get a suntan. And I mean, we're a convenience culture. So there's something so fascinating by we don't have time to take a walk. So we'll get on our treadmill and turn the video on, seeing a scene on the screen as if we were walking. And in a way, it's like, well, those are super cool things that we've created, but we're getting farther away from actually doing it. We've got just a few minutes left, so I'm going to let anybody else give some final offerings to today. Any closing thoughts? You Mars here in a moment, but let's see. Mercy, did you want to? I see you unmuted. I don't know if you were wanting to come on. All right, I'll hand it. Did you want to finish with something? Okay. You good? Okay. Tasha, did you want to offer any final thoughts in closing? You're good too. All right. Well, let's all take a moment. And one of our most powerful tools is the moment of silence and kind of inward reflection. So I invite you all, wherever you are, to simply take a moment. If you're driving or moving around where you're not able to look down, please focus as you need to. Let your eyes move towards something that feels is beneficial. And for those of you that feel you can even let the eyes close, go ahead and let the eyes start to begin to close. And in this moment, connecting with your own breath, you feel the inhale, you feel the exhale, and nothing you need to do about it, right? Same idea, it's already there. It's already this resource that we have. But part of these practices is to build the skill of noticing. What is it like to start to bring attention to the natural system? Sometimes our nervous system immediately feels blocked because we don't see something. But as we feel the nervous system settle, as we give ourselves another moment, then we ask, what happens? What do we feel? What do we notice? So I'm going to let you all take a few more moments like that on your own. Feel yourself settling in any way that you can, whether it's physically, whether it's with the breath slowing down, or if it's focusing your eyes or your mind on something that feels uplifting. Shanti, 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 and peace, peace, peace. All right, sending that ripple and vibration of peace out to each and every one of you. Thank you for your grace today, for our technology that was maybe part of the disruption and thing we need to consider taking a little break from. So we're going to do that over here and sign off. And So thanks again, Instagram Live folks. And thank you all here on the Zoom land. Really appreciate it for you joining. I saw Anjali came on to Instagram Live, because maybe you'll go to hear better. Mercy, so good to see you. Oh.